Welcome back and thanks for staying with All Angles. Now, ActionSA has welcomed the withdrawal of the 26 billion rand unsolicited bid that was meant to ramp up electricity supply in the city of Tshwane. The party, alongside the EFF and the ANC, were opposing the proposal, arguing it was illegal and a representation of bad governance. Following the withdrawal, ActionSA says it will be looking at ways to help provide reliable energy supply without compromising ethics. To speak to us on this matter, I am joined by ActionSA's Bongani Baloyi. He joins us now virtually. Bongani, thank you very much for your time here on eNCA. Now, firstly, obviously one of your biggest concerns, especially as a coalition partner, was that legislation was not followed, and at least it was not at least advertised for other companies to also bid.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I think as ActionSA we've been clear. Number one was that there was a dispute registered within the multi-party coalition as prescribed by our coalition agreement, which we all signed. Now that states that once there's a dispute lodged, you can't move forward to council with that item where there's a dispute for. So the mayor saw fit in his own wisdom to call through the speaker a special urgent council meeting to deal with this item where there's a dispute about. Now, the dispute we have with the item, number one, is that the procurement is led from the mayor's office. It's not done by the user department. Number two is that the mayor is specifically directing the city officials, where now there's a recording of, that they must follow a particular procurement process and they must select this specific service provider. Now, that is a problem. There is a breach of good governance and potentially is a breach of executive ethics. Now, this is where we find issue. We agree that electricity challenges are a big problem for all of us and must find solutions within the ambit of the law and not where councillors find themselves dominating a procurement process in the city.
Of course, he says that this was an unsolicited bid, but of course the Municipal Finance Management Act has 4 steps that he needed to follow. Were you satisfied that he followed these 4 steps?
We were not satisfied with any of the steps. Number one, there is no way that you can presume that this service provider is the only one. One of the criteria to satisfy in terms of the prescribed legislation for an unsolicited bid is the fact that it must be a unique alternative and a sole provider. You can't claim for the life of me that that service provider within an energy space which is becoming so fluid with new entrants and exciting technologies, that this specific one is the one that meets the criteria to form part of an unsolicited bid. So the point of departure is wrong. The point of departure must never be a mayor instructing officials that this specific proposal must be driven in a procurement process, which is for unsolicited bid, and therefore closing the space for all the other potential competitors, and equally direct the officials on which service provider. That is problematic, that is illegal, that borders on contravention of executive ethics.
Now, I know that I saw you quoted, ActionSA quoted in many media platforms where you say that you wrote to the DA to let them know your dissatisfaction about the processes that were or were not followed in this particular report. And you say that the DA did not respond to you. So do you think, or are you assuming possibly that there was some corruption that also featured in him still going ahead and presenting it to council?
I cannot make that assumption, but what is clear for all of us to see is that the mayor is eagerly pushing this specific proposal, whether the dispute on, where there's queries fundamentally about the legality of the process, and the party which he represents, the Democratic Alliance, choosing to support the mayor come hell or high waters. So it's all for South Africans to make their judgment, but from where we stand, this is something that is not going to happen in the city of Tshwane for as long as we are part of this coalition government. The coalition government in Tshwane is stable. The problem we have is Mayor Randall Williams, and he's insistent for all of us to follow this illegal process.
So what do you want to see happening then to the mayor? You're saying that he's the only problem in a working multi-coalition partnership.
Well, we will be having our press conference with the chairperson of the party tomorrow, where we are going to announce the steps that will be taken after having taken the time to listen to the recording that was provided yesterday, which points to some breaches in executive ethics, and that when we also will determine the way forward. But we'll do so within the spirit of sustaining and maintaining the coalition, but fighting potential corruption and transgression where it happens. So the coalition will be stable, but the problem we have in Tshwane is a Randall Williams problem, not a coalition problem.
All right, so it's just Randall Williams and not the DA?
The problem is Randall Williams, who is a member of the Democratic Alliance, who they are supporting and endorsing in this process. And part of the issue here that we suspect is that the DA's inability to grasp the issues, a consequence of them not reading the contents, not reading the documents. They don't understand what is happening here. We've been raising these issues to poor people, Shem, who don't understand what is happening, who just hear the arguments of the mayor that we just want economic development, there's billions that will be injected in this process and will resolve some of our challenges. We don't have money. Let's just go through this. There's no loss for the city. Undermining laws that separate and prevent him from coming directly in the space of procurement and directing officials who to appoint and how to appoint. That is illegal, and that is an affront on all the residents of Tshwane and the residents of South Africa. This behavior is the reason we are where we are in terms of the country, where the significant irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure that happens unabated is not going to happen on our watch.
Now, of course, the DA at some point seemingly accused ActionSA of not being in support of power solutions being given to the residents of the city of Tshwane, etc. And with this now being taken out as an option, this report and this unsolicited bid being taken out as an option, I'm hoping tomorrow, Bongani, that when you talk about the steps you're going to take against Randall Williams or the DA itself, you also talk about some of the steps that you think government should take to assist the people of Tshwane in terms of the power crisis in our country.
It's not correct that we are not supportive of a process to integrate with IPPs and ensure that private citizens can also have their own solutions and protect their residents. It's not correct at all. In fact, it's a lie perpetuated by the Democratic Alliance. We're in support of integration of IPPs within the system and even allowing private people in their homes to go off-grid. We are in full support of that. What we don't agree with is an illegal process which is fertile for corruption. So that I don't need to wait for tomorrow. I can tell you right now that we are in full support. It's been a lie perpetuated by the DA. You see, the thing the DA does really well to hide its corruption here is fearmonger and lie about people. When you media must ask them difficult questions, how did Randall Williams select this company? Why did Randall Williams instruct city officials to prefer this company and follow an unsolicited bid against the advice of heads of department and COO of City of Tshwane? Why did he insist that he's the executive man and has executive powers to direct what must happen in procurement? These are the questions that you must ask, and you're not asking.
Well, we did actually, just to let you know, Mr. Bongani, that we actually did make a request to the DA and to Randall Williams himself because we wanted to ask him these questions so that he can have a right of reply, but he hasn't gotten back to us, so we don't know if he will actually give us the time of day to respond to some of the questions that we have. But thank you for speaking to us. That is ActionSA's Bongani Baloyi speaking to us there.